to this episode of the Gateless Podcast. Today we sit down with Kahlea Wade, who is a creator economy and influencer marketing expert. She shares with us her journey of starting her business when she was 18, slowly building to what it is now, which is absolutely thriving. She teaches people about the importance of building a personal brand, and really her drive for what she does was sparked from people gatekeeping her when she was trying to make the leap and start this business. She found it so hard to find anyone that would share information with her, the playbook, the how to get started. And so she vowed to figure out how to monetize her personal brand and develop brand partnerships. And when she did figure that out, she vowed to share the knowledge and the how-to with anybody that needed to know. And she's built an absolutely thriving empire in that realm. And Kahlea gets very honest and vulnerable about some of the challenges that she went through in her life and things that she had to overcome to get to the other side of where she is now, which is a successful, thriving, happy life, but it wasn't always like that. And this episode is for you if you're somebody that has also experienced gatekeepers in your life and you need a little bit of a kick to figure out how to get going and move beyond that. This episode is for you definitely if you're interested in finding brand partnerships for yourself, or if you're just trying to figure out what is that thing, your secret sauce that you can wrap up in a personal brand and monetize. Kahlea is an absolute expert in this. So with that, Kahlea, welcome to the Gateless Podcast. Kahlea, thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. I already know that this is going to be a great conversation and I'm going to learn a lot, but I'm excited to share you with our listeners.
Yay. I'm happy to be here.
Thanks for coming over the bridge.
Oh yeah. Always. I love coming over the bridge.
Okay, so before we get started, could you just give the listeners a little bit of background on you, what you're working on, the exciting things that you're doing, all of that?
Yeah, all the things. So I got into this space, influencer marketing and creator economy related, when I was 17. So I'm going on almost a decade now,
Wild.
Which is nuts to think about because I just turned 26. So I don't feel like I've been in it for that long. And I've made a lot of transitions and pivots over the last specifically 3 years, I would say, of kind of coming into my own. And when you start really, really young, you grow up a lot and you grow up really fast. So like, going into early 20s and now mid 20s. And so now I'm in a place where I'm really focusing on building educational resources for creators and education also for brands. So kind of catering to both sides. And I started an agency almost a couple years ago, into 2022.
Oh, wow.
So we got talent agency now, and then I do a lot of education just for content creators and influencers that are wanting to work with brands. And then the flip side of influencer marketing education for brands. So I'm going into this year now. I can't believe we're at the beginning of 2024.
Crazy.
How did that even happen? So going into this year, it's a really big focus on just providing those resources and providing, information that's not gate kept, right, in the space, and just figuring out, how can I continue to serve other creators and other professionals in this space and really peel back the curtain of the creator economy and influencer marketing. So that's what this year is kind of focused on, and a little bit of how I got into it.
So I have heard you say a few times that you started your business before you even left college, but I didn't realize it was all the way back to 17.
Yeah.
Can we go back there?
Yes.
So what started at 17 and then take me through what you were doing in college too. Like I cannot even imagine. I
can't fathom that either. I'm like, what compelled me to think that I could start that? But I just went for it. So I ended up skipping a year in high school. So I had 3 years of high school and I graduated at 17. And so I went to USF St. Pete to study marketing. And it was really because, I was very blessed and privileged that my dad was like, I will send you to college. I will cover it. I didn't want to go to college because I didn't want to follow the corporate realm. And I knew that from a young age. Like I was the kid that was, the lemonade stands or selling golf balls on a golf course or, making bracelets and then selling them at school, like from my locker. Like I was always that kid. And so I had a intrigue for entrepreneurship. And when I got into college, I had a humanities class where the professor was going around the room asking everyone, what do you want to do when you graduate? What are you kind of here studying for? You know, why are you here? And when he got to me, after everyone was like corporate, Fortune 500 companies, I want to work with startups, all these things, he got to me and I was like, I want to do entrepreneurship. I don't know what that looks like, but I know I want to work for myself. And so throughout that, it really got me thinking, and I started having conversations with other friends, and they were like, what if you started a blog and just kind of shared about your college journey? I'm a huge nerd, and I was really disciplined in school, so I started this blog about like how to get straight A's, and then that turned into and evolved into me sharing, you know, how to decorate your dorm and what to wear to college classes and beauty hacks and all these different things. So through starting a blog, I was like, man, there's got to be a way to monetize this. And I started seeing other people do brand partnerships. And so I was going around asking people, I was like connecting with these other creators because I love building relationships. I love networking. And I was like, hey, I love what you're doing. I think it's awesome that you're working with brands. I would love to pay you for your advice and feedback on how did you get into this?
Yeah.
How, you know, because I saw people monetizing through ads and I was like, that's fine. It was a lot of like mom bloggers and food bloggers. So that was very common.
Yep.
But I was like, I just want to do something different. And at that time I didn't know, I was actually wanting to create a personal brand. I just didn't know what it was called back then.
Yeah.
It wasn't like what it is today. And so through conversations with people offering to pay them for mentorship, I constantly got turned down because of my age. They were like, you're way too young.
Like,
you don't know what you're doing.
worry about it yet.
Yeah. Don't even worry about it. Or you're never going to be successful because you're too young and you're not doing it the traditional way of like food or, you know, mom, you're not a mom or anything like that. And I was like, okay. At first I was like really heartbroken because that sucks. And I was just, you know, like, you know, wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, like young 17-year-old being like, I can do it. Like, you know, the world is my oyster. And after a minute I was like, you know what? I'm just going to figure it out myself through trial and error and learn how to navigate brand partnerships.
Yeah.
And if I can figure it out, I'm a believer and I commit. I was like, Lord, if you can help me figure it out. And I made a commitment to myself. If I put in the hard work and I'm disciplined enough to figure it out, I will talk to anybody who will listen about how to be successful with brand partnerships and share all my secrets. I just want other people to be successful because it sucks being told, no, I'm not going to tell you anything, or, oh, you're too young, or you're not going to ever make it. That sucks. And so I committed to it, figured it out, landed my first paid partnership at like 600 followers, $50. I was like, I'm rich. I made it. I was so excited. And I just kind of evolved from there and through a lot of trial and error and a lot of mistakes. And then I started getting asked, how did you do it? And I was like, I've been waiting for this, you know, and I was like, here's everything that you need to do. Here's how to get started. So that's where I began, and it evolved into education. I found my love for teaching and sharing advice and different resources. And so then I started creating free resources, and that evolved into one-on-one coaching and mentorship and courses and digital products. And so it just kind of grew from there, but it really came from not ever getting that mentorship or that advice myself and wanting to be the person that could give that to other people.
You're an OG anti-gatekeeper. I love it. So, okay, but so while you were in college, or maybe back to when you were finishing college, did you know what your business was leaving that you were going to walk into and go full time to work on? Or were you still like, what was that?
Yeah. Like? I thought I did.
Okay.
So while I was in college, I had my blog. I started really monetizing that through brand partnerships, then got into social media and started doing social media brand partnerships. Loved that, but then realized how much I love community and building relationships and connecting other creatives together and getting them with people that they could also ask questions to or be like, oh, you just get it. Being around other people that were like-minded and just get it. And so I started a second company called Getaway, and I was hosting events in St. Pete and Tampa and Orlando. Ended up expanding and doing retreats all around the nation from like here all the way to Hawaii.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I actually found a video of myself, this was a couple weeks back, of me getting ready to graduate. And I was like, I'm so excited. I'm going to graduate. I'm going to be doing Getaway full time. Obviously, COVID was around the corner, but I took a second to say, you know what, I'll kind of restart events in 2020. But what if I could create something that would allow anybody to get into brand partnerships? And also there's a community aspect. And also, you know, I was like, how could I put everything like virtually online? So if you weren't in person and could come out, you could get the education, you know, virtually. And so I created a course. And that ended up being what got me through 2020 and what had sustained me for the last 3 years, essentially.
So that was your first
that was
course
like
on
my
building
big
brand partnerships.
Yes, that was like my big first
Amazing.
launch. And then obviously 2020 happened. I couldn't do events. Everything shut down.
Yeah.
And so I completely focused on my course, Network to Net Worth, and it blew up. And that's what allowed me to hit like my first full 6 figures was like a year of being full-time as an entrepreneur. Was
Wow.
through the course and
a
doing
year
brand
out of
partnerships.
college.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So I had 4 years in college where I just spent growing and investing and learning and educating. And then I graduated and I hit my first 6 figures after that.
How did you get to the headspace of brand partnerships? Like you shared the story of you knew that like the blog seemed organic and you wanted to just share what you were doing because it was fun and you thought you could help people. And then that evolved, the way you were able to monetize that was brand partnerships. And like once you'd cracked that code that no one really would tell you how to crack, you're like, well, I'm going to be the one to share with everybody. But was it so obvious to you the whole time that it was going to be brand partnerships, or were there other things that you thought about building an entire business around?
It wasn't always obvious to me. And I didn't think at that time you could actually make a full-time career from brand partnerships because nobody else was.
Right.
And so I didn't know if it was possible, but I wanted to see if it was and how much I could actually earn and like how far I could like kind of push the envelope. And if there was also other ways that I could make money from brands outside of social media. And so what I started to do in between that, as I was figuring that out with brand partnerships, I knew that I could do coaching and mentorship. So I was monetizing through that and creating like digital resources, which are now like super big. But this was back 2015, 2016. It was like I was creating guides and different templates and kind of like done for you. And then you would just like take it and run with it sort of things. But through brand partnerships, I did a lot of trial and error figuring out like, okay, if I didn't just do social media, could I actually monetize my skills through brand partnerships? Could I get brand partnerships for events? Could I speak at events brands were hosting? Could I have them, do a podcast with them? Could I, I was thinking about what am I inherently really good at? Can I monetize that through brand partnerships? And that's what was unique about the way that I approached it, is it wasn't based on my follower count, and it wasn't based on, this many subscribers on a YouTube channel or how many monthly visitors I have on a blog. It was, okay, I'm really great at talking. I'm really great at building relationships. I'm great at, providing value. How could I do that in conjunction with brands? So that's what I was playing around with. So I was like profiting from coaching and then just like reinvesting that back into making a better blog or creating great content or hiring a photographer. And then on the side, pushing the envelope with brands and saying, hey, I'm hosting an event. Would you want to pay to be a sponsor at this event?
Yeah.
Or I'm going on a trip. Would you want to pay me to create content while I'm in Hawaii and I'm wearing your clothes? And so that's like this new era started to emerge of those kinds of brand partnerships. And now we see that all the time, but it's still not being leveraged the way that it really could be. But that's what I was figuring out in college. And so when I graduated, I was like, I'm going to do brand partnerships with events. I'm going to do speaking in partnerships with events. I'm going to do all these different things, and I'm still going to monetize from the education side.
To hear that you were having these thoughts and you had this type of confidence in yourself in college is just really amazing to me. And
Thanks.
I absolutely love it, but I'm curious where that came from. Have you always had
Trauma?
this
No.
Yeah, like, but
Actually,
really,
no.
we joke like the solution, the Salulu is to just stay Delulu.
Yeah,
like,
actually.
just be delusional about what you can achieve, because you really can achieve so much more than you actually think you can. But when I mean, projecting a little bit, like it took me a decade of being in the corporate world to really believe like these people around me that have much more power and are making much more than me actually are not any smarter than me and are not doing anything that I couldn't also do, to start taking leaps. And like, I literally cannot fathom having that type of confidence in college. And I just need to hear where it came from, because I'm so impressed by you.
Thank you. So I grew up I have a very tumultuous background of how I was raised. I come from a split family. My parents were never married, and I didn't grow up in an easy home. And so I knew going into college, for me, my business was a means of survival. And not a lot of people would have known that. And even seeing me now, I'm very happy. I'm very joyful.
Yeah.
And that really is, a lot of my testimony of my relationship with the Lord. But through everything that I grew up with and how I was raised and how hard that was, I had my own journey with mental health, and I really struggled with depression, anxiety. I tried to take my own life when I was 14, And because of that, and the way that I ended up moving from, Ohio down to Florida and kind of starting over, those 3 years that I had in high school, I was in Florida, and then I was transitioning into college, and it was really a fresh start for me.
Yeah.
And it was an opportunity to reinvent myself. And so a lot of it was, faking it until I made it, and just believing in myself because nobody else did around me. And my family is the most supportive now, but they didn't always understand what I was doing. And they didn't understand why I would be going to college and not getting a steady corporate job,
and
instead doing my own thing. And so it was me and the Lord. Like, that's what I had at that time. And so I had no other choice but to believe in myself. And I knew that I wanted to have that fresh start over. And I had a choice of, I can continue living a certain way, or I could continue struggling with mental health day in and day out, or I can have something that's bigger than me.
Yeah.
We were kind of talking about this before the interview, but something that was bigger than me and about more than me. And it's not even about me at this point, but something that I could put my time and energy and attention into that would serve and bless other people. And so the confidence really came in believing that, number one, the Lord was leading me to do that. There was a lot of kind of back end, again, with my faith journey of knowing this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm just going to figure it out. And I have confidence in the Lord. I'm going to just trust that this is what I'm supposed to be walking into, and then just believing in myself because no one else would. And so that's where my confidence grew. And it was a lot of like Delulu and just being like, well, I'm gonna figure it out, and there was a lot of grace, like being young. And I took a lot of that grace knowing I was young and I could kind of mess up 100%. And people wouldn't say as much about it. And now being, recently 26, this is actually the first year, and my word for the year is actually confidence, because it's the first year I feel like I'm actually fully owning and truly confident without faking it in what I know in my experiences and the journey that I've walked through to get to this point. But a lot of it was just delusion and believing in myself because no one else would.
If you're not going to believe in yourself, then it's hard to expect other people to.
Yeah.
Like, of course, it's amazing to have people cheering you along the way and have people make you feel confident that you can do anything. But like, ultimately, even if you had all of that and still didn't believe in yourself, like, so you kind of, you did it. You figured it out, and that's amazing. Yeah. I'm so impressed.
Thank you.
So it sounds like it struck a nerve for you when you did reach out to people and asked for help and really just wanted somebody to help you understand where to start or what the playbook was for being an entrepreneur and figuring out how to monetize and alignment of your passions, your skill sets, and money.
Yeah.
And I'm curious if you have any like experiences or stories around trying to get the help that you now are giving to everybody else.
Like the coffee shop story.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So the coffee shop story, I have a lot of stories, but one of them that really stands out is I had reached out to a really big creator at the time, and it was like one of the first people that actually agreed to meet with me. And I was like, I will pay you for your time, or I'll buy you a coffee, or I'll buy you lunch. I wasn't making much money, but I was like, I know that investing in yourself is key. If you want to get to where you want to be, you should invest in yourself and also learn from people that have gone before you. And so she agreed to meet with me, and I was jacked. I got like a new notebook, I got there early, got my coffee, I'm like setting it up, and then, getting ready, and I'm just like at the door, like eagerly awaiting, I think I'm like 18 at this point, and she's probably like later 20s. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Like, I'm going to get all the secrets. I'm gonna, like, this is it.
Yeah.
This is the moment I'm going to finally figure it out. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And she comes in and sits down, and, she was nice. And I was like, okay, so where do I start? Like, where do I begin? And she was like, well, just create good content and be consistent, and like, it'll work out for you, and something along that. And I was like, am I being punked right now? Like, and I was like, okay, being nice and trying to give like gracious conclusions. I was like, okay, like, awesome. Like, that's great to know. But what are the actual steps that I need to take? Like, number one, like, how many pieces of content? What is consistency? What is great content? Where should I be showing up? Like, how are you pitching to brands? Are they just reaching out to you? Or are you just kind of like, wait, what, tell me tell me more.
Devil's in the details.
Yeah, exactly. And she didn't have much else to say. She's just like, no, like, yeah, like brands will kind of come to you, and if you just kind of keep going, it'll work out. And I was like, okay, cool. And that was really the conversation.
So
and
basically all she said was like, trust the process, but didn't actually tell you what the process was.
I was like, what is the process?
Yeah.
What am I trusting?
Yeah.
What am I doing? And she left, and I just remember like sitting back in my seat being like, oh my gosh, like I was so frustrated.
Yeah.
I was so frustrated because I really thought that was going to be like the breakthrough moment. And I was like, if I ever get the chance to sit down with someone, I'm going to be like, block your calendar for an hour, bring a notebook. You will need it. And sit down. I'll tell you everything that you want to know. And I did that for free for like the first, I would say at least year and a half. I would take meetings with people and just tell them, and also help me as an educator to learn how to communicate, right, and deliver. But yeah, that was really frustrating. I think I had one of two choices in those scenarios. No one's telling me, so screw all of you.
Yep.
Forget it. Like, you know, or I could approach it and say, no one's going to tell me. I'm just going to figure it out. And that's what I chose to do. I think everything in life is a choice. The way that we respond, just like with my own story, I could have chosen to use my past and the way that I was raised and my mental health journey as a crutch as to why I couldn't do XYZ or why I can't have a successful business or be XYZ kind of person. Or I could say, you know what, that sucks that I went through that, but I came on the other side. I can use it as a testimony and opportunity to help other people. And that's how I saw, you know, the gatekeeping that constantly, when I was like, okay, I'll just not gatekeep.
Yeah.
And I'll just help anybody who will listen, you know? And that's how I kind of approach those things. But it's definitely super frustrating to not get the advice that you're looking for.
Yeah. And we talked about this a little bit earlier, but it's got to be founded in a scarcity mindset and being afraid of somebody else's success.
Yeah.
Which, you know, when you're in a low and kind of insecure place, it can happen to where you're like, wait, I want that success. Like, I don't want them to have it. And when you're in a confident, centered, like faithful place, it's so much easier to be able to share what's working. And so, you know, like you can chalk it up to, okay, not hurt people, but like somebody that's not confident has a hard time sharing how to be successful. Yeah. But there's so many people like that. And I think the type of energy that you bring to the table is infectious, and like we need more of it. And that's the whole reason that this podcast exists and this platform exists, is like, we want to talk to women that are doing really cool things like you. And the purpose is that then listeners will be inspired to go do the big thing too, that they've been waiting for, or that has been waiting for them. And confidence is a huge piece of it, but also just access to the conversation of how to do it is what's lacking. Yes. And you bring the exact type of mentality and thought process to it. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I love what you guys are doing. It's important. And conversations like this do breed confidence. Yes. To be like, oh my gosh, wait, I can totally do that. Yeah. Or I do have what it takes. Or because I really believe that every single person has what it takes right now, and they have the tools and the skills in their tool belt right now to be successful. And then as you grow and you scale, you add in more tools and more skills for that next level of success. Yeah. But we often sell ourselves short to be like, well, you know, I haven't made this much money, so I can't really talk about it. Or I haven't done this, so I don't really have anything to say. And we were talking about this too, of you might be on let's say you're just on step 3. There's still someone at step 0 or step 1 that needs what you have to say and would get value out of where you're at and what you've gone through. Same thing. I could say, I'm on step 7. Well, there's 1 through 6, 0 through 6 that, you know, I could be able to help. And so we just need more of these conversations to be like, oh my gosh, no, okay, I actually do got this. And someone else to believe in us and remind us, no, you can do it. Doesn't matter what your past is, doesn't matter what you've gone through or what you haven't gone through. Like, you can be successful, and like, you absolutely can do anything. I believe anyone can do anything that they set their mind to. Yeah. If they commit to doing it and are disciplined to do it, just send it.
They're willing, if you're willing to put in the work, stay consistent, and just like keep it going, have the confidence and keep it going, you can do it. Yep. So I guess there's 2 things. It's like, there are a lot of people that don't know exactly how to stay consistent. Yeah. And that's probably more because they haven't found the right thing for them. Sure. Like, if you love it, you're going to keep doing it. Yeah. If you think it's for you, you're going to keep doing it. If it's not for you, then it's probably not going to work out. Yeah. But there's that piece of it. And then there's also the like access to somebody that's going to make them confident enough to give them the kick in the butt to go do it. Yeah. So there's both, but I'm curious at what point you got intentional about using your personal brand as a tool to share the message that you have, because you package it, the way you talk about it is so clear and concise and easy to digest. Like I told you, I took your personal branding workshop, and just the way you package, like your personal brand is the digitization of your reputation, and you are best positioned to help the person that you once were.
Yep.
It's so clear to me, and it shifted my mindset about it. It's not just like, I'm not trying to get attention on social. I'm just trying to find the people that maybe I could help, or help them find me, however you say it.
Yeah.
But I think you have a lot of intentionality in it. And so I'm curious at what point you started being intentional as opposed to just like doing your thing.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a great question. So in 2020, when I changed my focus from doing the events to doing the course, that's when I started to really recognize the value of doing a personal brand and how I could build that. And so it was the last, like from 2020 to 2022, I really focused on that, but I still was stuck in, I have to have this one niche, this one thing that I'm known for. And at that time, it was just brand partnerships. Then at the end of 2022 to about October of last year of 23, I was in this 11 month fog where I was like, everything that I've ever known, I feel like I hit like 25. I had like this quarter life crisis where I was like, do I want to just be known for brand partnerships? And what is my personal brand? So I started asking a lot of questions with my audience of, when you see my content, how does it make you feel? When you think of Kahlea Nicole, or you think of my brand, what is a word that comes to mind? And I started asking these questions and just doing market research, and also doing a lot of like internal soul searching of, what do I want to be known for? How do I want people to feel? What kind of content, how do I want to show up? And how do I want that to be perceived? And so it was honestly like the last 3 months of 2023. This is when I did the personal brand workshop, where I had this like light bulb moment of, this is what a personal brand is.
Yeah.
This is what it is. And I was like, I got to create a workshop on this. Like, I think this could help a lot of people and just really unlock and like create freedom for people that think you have to pick one thing and stick with one thing and be known for one thing and then feel boxed in and just be happy with it. Just be happy, you know? And I'm like, no, we're not doing that anymore. And I really could see with the trend of what was happening in the creator economy and influencer marketing, I was like, you know what? I really think 2024 is going to be the era of personal brands. And I stand by that. Like, that is this year. Like, we're going to see that more and more. We're already starting to, I know it's only 1 weekend at the time of this recording, but we're going to see that like crazy this year, where people are shedding the, I need to pick one thing and be known for one thing, the whole pick a niche and stick with it, into I am the niche.
Yeah.
That is my personal brand. My personal brand is my niche. And so it was at the end of 2023 and now this year where I'm just owning the heck out of that, where I'm like, yeah, I am the niche. I'm like goofy and silly, but also I can sit down and I will give you the first 10 steps that you need to take if you want to be a successful content creator, or you want to build a profitable personal brand online, or, you know, so straight up to the point, all actionable stuff, like no fluff. But it took a second to realize what it was, because we're inundated with so much crap on social media of what we're supposed to do. And all these gurus and all these experts are like, oh, pick one thing and the personal brand needs to be, and I'm like, this is a bunch of crap. Yeah. It's a bunch of crap. But I didn't unlock that until I kind of came out of the fog. And there was such intentionality in the fog of like, or like think of it like a sabbatical, where I took a step back and I like stopped doing the brand partnerships, stopped doing all the content. I just was like traveling and like in the mountains and just like praying and figuring out like, what the heck am I doing and what do I want to do and what am I going to be known for? And coming out of that, and it was just like, oh my gosh, this massive light bulb moment. And so now I want everyone to know, like, we are the niche, you know, like it's not about picking one thing. And so it took a second, but it just came out, I'd say, into 2023 and
That's
now
amazing.
this year.
I love it. One of the intentions that I set for this year for myself was live limitlessly. And what that means to me is not be so put in boxes. Like just because I'm have always been in tech and I have more than a decade of experience successfully running sales teams in tech, doesn't mean I can't completely pivot. Doesn't mean that because I'm a mom, I can't also start an entrepreneurial journey.
Yes.
Because and the reason I bring that up is because I do feel and think that a lot of others feel societal pressures to be your thing and pick your thing. But I believe that that's because others want to know what to expect from you. Yeah. And that makes them feel safe and comfortable. Yeah. And it's really scary when you don't know what you're going to get from somebody, because they are dynamic and they're multifaceted. And though that feels really amazing inside, I think it's it rocks some people. Like,
Yeah.
so I'm bringing that up to tee up a question about your experience with people in your life. As you have really stepped into your true self, and you seem to very much be living limitlessly, and you're like crushing many different things, not just your one thing.
Yeah.
Have you had relationships in your life evolve, or are there people that maybe didn't support all of the transitions that you've gone through to get to where you are right now?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've even had, recently, I love what you said about don't be afraid to pivot or rebrand or even expand. Sometimes it's not always like a 180 pivot, but it's just an expansion of what we've been doing,
adding.
which is what I feel like I've been in the midst of. But I've definitely had, thankfully, my family's been extremely, extremely supportive of what I've been doing. But there are other people in the space or strangers on the internet. Like, I'm no stranger to the strangers being up in my DMs telling me what I should talk about or what I should do or what I shouldn't do. And, people that don't really understand. And I don't really care. I really don't.
Good for you.
Because I'm so confident in the decisions that I'm making. I'm so confident in what I know is right for me and my business and my companies that it doesn't matter what anyone else says. And even if my family didn't support, I'd be like, I love you guys so much, but that's okay. And it's not meant for you. And I know that anyone that doesn't fully understand it or doesn't support it, that's fine, because it's not meant for them. And if everyone is super happy with what I'm doing something wrong in my own perspective, because I'm not pushing the envelope enough or being bold enough or stepping out enough and causing people to be like, wait, I don't know if I agree with that. Like the whole personal brand thing and not picking one thing. People roast me for that all the time. They're like, no, we gotta pick one thing because that's strategically that's fine if you wanna look at it strategically. I'm not just looking at it strategically.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it as what do I wanna show up and be consistent about every single day and what makes the most sense for me. And it means being me and being the personal brand. And so, yeah, I get people that say stuff all the time, but I really don't care.
That's the method. Like, whatever, it's not meant for them.
Yeah. And you got to put blinders on too. Like when you are choosing to put yourself out there on social media and choosing to build a platform, you're going to get people that don't understand.
Yeah.
It's like the silly Pinterest quote where you could be the ripest, juiciest peach in the world and there's still going to be somebody that doesn't like peaches.
Yep.
There are people that get on me all the time because they're like, well, you're too happy. You have too much joy. You're too goofy, or you're too excited about. I'm like,
sorry.
I'm sorry, not sorry. You know, that's fine. Like, go find somebody more serious. Like, I have my moments of being serious and really in the zone, but I'm silly. I'm silly as heck.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't work for you, that's fine. I'm not offended by that.
Yeah.
That's, you like something else, and that's okay. You know, we're all entitled to our own opinions and our own, preferences, and that's okay if I'm not one of them.
Yeah. It's very rare that you're criticized by somebody that's doing more than you or that's ahead of you. It's very common that you're criticized by people that aren't doing much or haven't started or are too scared.
Yeah.
And so I think it's also remembering that most of those hate comments are coming from a place of like, they don't have the confidence yet, or they're scared, or they haven't done it yet, or so.
It's like, or fake accounts.
Fake accounts, bots.
I've had people though that I actually know in real life that have made fake accounts to troll me.
No.
And I figured it out because I'm an FBI agent.
That's so hurtful though.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You have to build a thick skin though. And again, because of the way that I view my business, where I'm like, it's so much bigger than me and it's not even really about me. Like, I can really create such a separation where I'm human and like some things really suck and I'll have to like process that with my husband, or I'm like in counseling, I'm super pro therapy, super pro counseling. And I like work through that. And I'm like, why did that bother me so much? And really have to analyze like why something really hurt my feelings. But most of the times you just have to let it roll off your back because you're just like, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. And next, I'm like, you know what? Thanks for boosting my engagement with the hate comments.
That's
keep
true.
Keep running your mouth. It's fine. The views are going up.
It's true. So you shared that a big driver for you building a business even as early as in college was because you knew it was correlated to your survival and like you were it. Like you had to make yourself successful. You were just relying on yourself and you were just you were the one believing in yourself. Are there other motivations that you have intrinsically that keep you going? Like, are you trying to achieve certain things in this lifetime? Do you think about your legacy? Are you...
Oh yeah. I think about generational just value and legacy and wealth every day. I knew when I started my business too, that it was a means for survival.
Yeah.
And it was something that kept me going because it was something that was bigger than me and allowed me to invest and pour into other people. And I really value that. I really value serving other people and blessing them and just kind of like passing the torch to the next generation and building up the next generation of leaders to go out and serve their communities and their people. And I believe like there's so much power in the ripple effect. And I recognize that with every single post or every single conversation. You know, you never know who's going to listen and how it's going to impact them and who they're going to tell. Like even with the workshop, you're then telling, you know, Haley, and then, you know, she might tell someone. You never know how things can impact, you know, for generations to come or across different communities. And so in college, I was thinking I was like, I knew I wanted to get married one day. I knew I wanted to have kids. I want to be a mom one day. But I wanted to create something that my kids could also look back on and be like, oh, that was so cool that like mom did that. And like she went after her dreams and she went after her goals. Like I can do it too. And it's really important to leave a legacy of doing things with excellence, of serving other people, and not just making it about us. I think that we can be really inherently selfish and make it about us and the accolades that we have and the accomplishments that we have and what we've been able to achieve. And I think there's so much beauty when we don't just look at what we're able to do. I think it's great to be proud of ourselves, but we don't just look at what we're able to do, but how did that impact the next generation of leaders and the other communities and the other people that didn't have access to certain resources or didn't grow up a certain way or never thought that they could do something. And that's what I want, is I knew that I wanted to create a brand that would provide so much value that it would have other people going after their dreams and other people confident in themselves and other people chasing after the skills for me, what I believe like God has inherently gifted them with. And so that for me is like the biggest driving force. And is it fun to be able to wake up every day and do what I love and make money doing what I love? Absolutely. Like that's the biggest blessing, is I get to work from wherever, whenever I want, and I get to profit doing something I'm so incredibly passionate about. But my passion is founded in serving other people and helping them chase after their dreams and monetize their unique talents and skills. And so I knew whatever it eventually evolved into, you know, throughout college, post-college, you know, now in my 20s, that is the legacy that I wanted to leave behind.
The inspiration to have something so much bigger than you and to leave an impact that's so much bigger than you, it means a lot, and it can keep you going through a lot of hard times. And the impact that you have on people having the confidence to go do the thing or to chase their dreams is, I mean, it's literally breaking like generational cycles of us. I mean, I my parents are so supportive of me and love me and all these things, but like they were like, go get the big corporate job, be stable. Like we don't want to worry about you. It was about worry and scarcity. And that, I think that just needs to change, because there's so much more. All these people, especially women, like have so much inside of them. Like they feel like they have more to give and they don't know how to articulate it and they don't know how to get it out. And, you know, I think like shifting your point of one day you want to have kids that can look at what you did and be like, she did it, I can do it. That is the most amazing thing ever. And to be able to do that. I mean, you're already done it. You're going to do it when you have children, but I love that as inspiration. It's like so much bigger than yourself. So it is still important to be proud of yourself though. And I'm curious what you're most proud of that you've accomplished.
That's a really good question. I would say when I was 13, 14, really struggling with my mental health, you know, and I was just at the lowest point in my life, like not even wanting to be around anymore. I'm most proud of staying. And I really think it's just the opportunity that the Lord has given me to be able to serve other people and the opportunity with a platform, because that's what it is. It like, I'm gonna get emotional. Like I really shouldn't even be here right now, but like God saved my life. And like I will live every day one for him, but also taking every single moment, every minute, like every opportunity, give it to him for honor and glory, but also, you know, do everything that I can to make the most of it. And so I'm really proud of being here, and I'm proud of what I've been able to build that really isn't about me, but it really is focused on serving other people. And just blessing other people with what God has blessed me with, whether it's experience or knowledge or just opportunities, is just sharing that with other people. That for me is what I'm most proud of. It's not, oh, how much profit I've made or how many brands I've gotten to work with, but seeing the impact of not gatekeeping, really, and sharing experiences and being so open about that and how other people have been able to build businesses. Like, that's my favorite. Like, I literally blessed me so much knowing that my workshop meant something to you. Like, that for me is what it's all about, is now you can go after what you are dreaming about, not just because of that, but something unlocked there for you. And it was an opportunity I was given to share, you know? And so seeing other people go after what they're called to and going after the dreams God has placed on their heart, like that's everything for me. That's what I'm most proud of.
That's really beautiful. We're all glad that you're still around. You're doing so much good in the world.
Thank you.
You're making an impact on people. And I mean, I'm glad that you're proud of that, because that is a beautiful thing that you've done for yourself and for the world.
Thank you.
Lightening it up a little bit. I want to get in your brain on some of these trends that you see. So influencer marketing, how do you see that evolving and changing in the next year or so? Like you said 2024 is the year of personal brands, and that obviously gives you puts you in a position to be paid for brand partnerships and influencing and all of those things. But what more about the evolution of influencer marketing do you see on the horizon?
Yeah. So we're seeing a lot more brands finally understanding that we know what we're doing when it comes to creating content and comes to knowing our audiences, or, you know, being able to leverage our skills. And so I'm seeing more brands that are open to, oh yeah, like I would have you speak on a panel for an event that we're hosting, or I would pay you to host an event for us, or I would, you know, have you do a podcast about us, or whatever it might be, do your email newsletter or sponsor your blog or something like that. So we're seeing an expansion of the way that brands are working with creators, which I'm so happy about, because again, I'm all about monetizing talents and skills, and that being the inherent reason that you start partnering with brands. We're also seeing brands finally understand the value of long-term partnerships. So many brands were just like, oh, one-off and let me just test it. And then they're like, oh, this doesn't work. And it's like, well, you partner with them one time. Yeah, it takes time for it to grow, and for also the audience to realize, oh, this isn't just for a paycheck.
To trust it.
Yeah, this is a relationship. It's not just a transaction. So we're seeing more of that. We actually just closed another deal with a really big company that wants to do like long form content. So like a 3-month campaign or 6-month or year-long campaigns. We're seeing more of that, which is huge. And then brands are caring more about working with nano and micro influencers versus just like the mega and celebrity. We're actually seeing this really interesting situation where the more followers you're getting, the less partnerships you're getting.
What?
Yeah. Because brands can't afford those rates, or they want to work on longer term partnerships, and they want to have more content with one person that's a little bit smaller and has a more niche targeted audience than someone who, you know, posts 10 brand partnerships a month.
Wow.
You know, one off all the time. So we're seeing this kind of ebb and flow. And so at Allure Society, which is my talent agency, we have a girl that has 100K. She and I were just having a conversation about this. Is she was like, I'm actually getting less inbounds ever since I hit 100K than I did when I had 50K.
Wow.
Because brands aren't just looking at follower count anymore, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But then it also is leaving, you know, these people that have 100K, 200K, 300K, they're like, I thought I was supposed to grow all this time. Like I thought that's what would, you know, allow me to make more money. And so now they're having to, okay, well, I'm going to create my own products or services, and then I'm going to also supplement with brand income, or I'm going to work with brands on more than just social media. So those are some of the things that we're kind of seeing right now.
Interesting.
And again, I mentioned personal brand is going to be the thing for influencer marketing and creator economy in general this year. And brands just wanting to work with creators that are talking about more than just brand partnerships. Like they're doing content that people really love to watch and consume and care about. Yeah.
So how can you share, just go off a little bit on how someone, who is a good fit to work with you in your talent agency, and what is the relationship like when they're working with you?
Yeah. So we're very tight knit as a team, and then also with our talent. So we currently represent 3 exclusive creators.
Okay.
And they're different, like they're very strong personal brands. A lot of people are like, oh, I have 100, someone DM me, I have 150K and I would love to sign with you. And I'm like, okay, great. Well, what are you making from inbound opportunities, brands that are reaching out to you? Because our, you know, requirements aren't, you have to have this many followers. I want to know, are you actually profiting from brands already? Because we make money based off of commission. Right. We want creators that are at least making 70K from brands already. And do they have a really strong personal brand?
Okay.
And so in terms of like relationship, we're very tight knit. That's why we only have 3. But we've closed almost 200K.
That's amazing.
With 2 of them, and we just signed the 3rd.
Wow.
So it really goes to show like there's so much power in personal brands because we're doing social partnerships, UGC partnerships, speaking engagement partnerships.
Yep.
And so we are really big on mutually beneficial partnerships. It has to make sense for both the creator and the brand. If it doesn't, there's no point in the partnership.
Yep.
And we're big on long-term relationships. We want to work with you over 3, 6, a year long. We don't want to just do one-off campaigns. We're welcome to do that, but we always say in conversations, like we just had a call with the Celtics this past week. It was the first conversation we had with them and first paid partnership conversation. And I told her straight up, I said, I know this is our first time meeting, but I want you to know that we really value long-term partnerships. So while we're super excited about the opportunity for us to work together on this one-off campaign for this unique, thing that you're doing, we would love to do something again next quarter and the quarter after.
Yeah.
We want this to be long-term. We want it to be mutually beneficial. They love that.
Oh, good.
And they're all about that. But
Cool.
I'm always about like shooting my shot and planting seeds and also like being very clear about our intentions as an agency and also our intentions with working with them. Is we go in and say, we want this to be mutually beneficial. We want this to be a long-term relationship. We want it to be more than just a one-off thing. So, we have a wait list of over 200 creators for Allure Society, which is a huge blessing and really exciting. I'm very picky. I'm the one, I co-founded it. So I have a co-founder who handles more of the communication with brands and the talent and the negotiation and contracts we kind of do together, but she's mostly the one day in and day out on emails. And I'm the one that's the face of the agency. I'm the one that hires new employees and then also brings on talent. So we have calls with all of our talent beforehand. It has to make sense. Like we have to work well together or else it's not going to work.
Yeah.
But I'm very, very picky because I don't want to just hire someone that's just like, well, I just want to make money.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
so
you
does
want
everyone
long-term partnerships with your talent too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And like we've had our first 2, we just signed for like a whole nother year. So it's like we got them in and we keep working with them. It's not hey, we'll just come in and kind of help with certain things. We take over all inbound. We also are releasing a pitching package because that's kind of where I started was all pitching. But yeah, we're really big on relationships, both with the talent and then also the brands that we work with.
Cool. So somebody that wants to start a career in entrepreneurship, specifically similar to what you're doing, whether it be focused on personal brand or marketing or, all of the influencer marketing and the brand partnerships that you do and focus on, what anti-gatekeeping advice would you give to them at the beginning that you wish you knew at the beginning of all of this for you?
Yeah. Oh man, there's so many. Like I could give like 15 things. I had to pick one that is probably the number one thing. I'm trying to think of a tangible piece because I think a big one is obviously, be a little delusional.
Yeah. That confidence is key.
Yeah, confidence is key for sure. And I think committing to putting yourself in rooms with other people that get it and are like-minded and just having conversations. There's so much that you can learn just in networking.
Yeah.
And I think that can feel very scary, but I'm very grateful that in college, when I wouldn't get advice directly from people, I just went to tons of events and I would just always try and find the host in the room and then find other people that I could really connect with.
Yep.
And I would start with providing value versus asking for value.
Yep.
And I think that's a huge way to be able to like build relationships and also start to learn, oh, you're doing this or someone that's doing that, and then getting to have kind of conversations with them, I think is really great. Just putting yourself, like, never be the smartest person in the room. And so constantly putting yourself in rooms where other people know more or doing different things, even if it's adjacent, is really valuable. Man, there's just so many things I could say because it could go entrepreneurship side or content creator side.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
You also have a lot of resources that people could leverage too if they are interested in getting into something like this.
Yeah. And I do a lot of free content too, just getting started. And
well, where can people find you on social to connect with you, but also just follow your journey?
Yeah. I am most consistent on Instagram as of right now. So at Kahlea Nicole on Instagram. And then I'm going to get back into TikTok. We'll get back into that this year, okay? But like Instagram and Threads. And then I also have an email list where I share a lot of kind of insider scoops and behind the scenes. So I would say those would be the best places to connect.
Amazing. Thank you so much for giving us some of your afternoon trekking over that bridge.
Yeah.
This was amazing.
Anytime.
Yeah,
Thank you
this
for
was
having
amazing.
me.
Such an inspiring conversation.
Thank you.